much light. It is so beautiful to see each and every one of you here today to help honor and celebrate the life of my precious brother, who I always call little boy, Shuron David Malone. There's a movie that I watched once. I don't necessarily remember the name of it, but I remember the ending of it. And inside of this movie, maybe it's Infinity Wars, I'm not quite sure. I just remember the very final scene. And inside the scene, I remember someone asking, what did it cost? And when this massive man responded back to the question that this little girl asked him, his answer, it was quite simple. It was one word. He said, everything. What does that mean when you have to pay the cost of something and that cost is everything? That word stayed with me, and I continued to watch that scene over and over, because when I think about my brother and anyone asks me about what did it cost, that is my exact answer. It cost me everything. For those who do not know who I am Tia. I am Shuron's sister. No matter how big my brother got, 6 foot what, I don't know what he stood at. But again, when I seen him, that was my little brother. I saw the little boy that I had to protect, that I had to fix, that I had to cover, that I had to hold, and that's what I did over and over and over again. It cost me. It cost. It cost me peace. It cost me sleep. It cost me nights where I regretted looking at my phone hoping it was not him. It cost me getting up in the middle of the night going to where he was to make sure that he was still alive. It cost me phone calls from detention centers and mental health hospitals. It cost me arguments with family members as they said, again, Tia? It cost me. It cost me driving across states when I'd moved to Florida, and I said, I have to go back home because my brother needs me. It cost. I would constantly remind Shuron of how intelligent he was, how sharp he was, how he could do anything that he put his mind to, how he was resilient, how the formula is simple. This is all we have to do. You got this. Over and over and over again. Writing books, recommending books, telling him this is how we're going to do it. Being the button, pushing the button behind his back, behind the scenes when no one's seen these various things that were happening and going on, as far as like, okay, here's this next Stop the Violence movement. Pushing it, driving it, organizing. It cost me. It cost. It cost. It even took times where Shuron would tell me that no matter what it was I was doing, that it was not good enough. It cost me. There were so many times where I would threaten to walk away. I'm not talking to you anymore, little boy, because you never listen. And then I'm right back on the phone, talking to him again, begging, pleading, fighting, trying one more time. It cost. At times, my character being assassinated. You did this, you did not do that. And there were pieces of me that were torn. At times, I'd look and I said, oh my gosh, here's my first gray hair as a result of Shuron. There was so much confusion. But you know, the pain of loving someone, when you love someone, you stick by them. I told my brother, and I would tell him over and over again, I said, Shuron, do you know how bright you are? Do you know how resilient you are? Listen, I said, Shuron, one day you're going to impact. You're going to impact millions of people. And I laugh now because we don't know the Most High. We say we do. We say we do. But we really don't know him. Because let me tell y'all something. This past Thursday, my family and Shuron's children, we were at the funeral home, and we had an intimate family viewing. It was so beautiful. His precious daughter, Ava, where's Ava? There you go, baby girl. Ava was looking at me as I was staring at my brother in his casket, and she was looking at me, and she turned her head to the side. And she says, Aunt Tia, why aren't you crying? And I smiled and I looked at Ava because I don't know how to explain this to a 7-year-old. Because you see, God has taken me through so many pathologies. My brother's death is not death. Shuron is still here. So when I think about my brother, I smile. When I think about my brother, I see the life in his children still moving around. When I think about my brother, I say, thank you, God, because look at what you just did. Look at the attention that you just grabbed. Because you see, you thought you were looking at my brother and saying, look at him, he's got a gun to his head. And you didn't even realize that you were looking at a mirror of your own self. You don't even hear what I'm saying. You were looking at a mirror of your own self. Because let me explain to you what God is doing. God is at work. Shuron did something major. Shuron did something powerful. In fact, Shuron was brave. Because every single day we wake up and we put a mask on. And we pretend to be something that we are not. We put a mask on when we go to work. We put a mask on when we talk to our coworkers. We put a mask on when we talk to our siblings. We put a mask on every single where we go. How dare you look down on Shuron? There's one trait of him that I can at least say he took his mask off at times. He took that mask off and he exposed himself. He exposed his weaknesses. He exposed his vulnerabilities. He exposed his struggles. They were not beautiful. They were not always laced in truth. But they were expressions of what he felt. So when I asked you if you're looking online and saying, oh, and some of you laughed, Shuron's at it again. It's funny, right? Shuron's at it again. The Most High is at work. So when this precious baby girl asked me, why are you not crying? First of all, there's a few things I want you to understand. The way that many people think about death, when we really understand our history, when we really understand who we are, when we really understand our ancestors, when we really understand that there was a point when we actually celebrated life and death, and that we understood that death was not the end, it was the rebirth of a new cycle that was to begin, that we knew that we were being welcomed on the other side, we showed up and we smiled. We knew we would miss that physical person, but we knew that that person wasn't going anywhere. So no, you're not going to see my head down. I keep my head up because my brother, he's still here. You see, he's still here. Yeah, you're going to catch me cry every now and then because I miss my brother in the physical. But let me tell you what, Shuron is still here. And when you start to study your history, when you start to study your knowledge, when you start to understand how all of this works, you can hold your head up a little bit higher as well. So, you know, I wanted to say to Ava that day at the funeral home when she asked me, "Why aren't you crying?" And I said to myself, I said, how do you explain to a 7-year-old that, baby girl, God's got me? God prepared me for this, baby. God prepared me for this. The pruning, the pathologies, the things that we go through in life that we call pain, the things that we don't want to face, the things that we look at and say, this is breaking me. These very same things that we try to run from. God has been preparing me for it all. So when this moment of my brother's death came, yes, it hurt me. I fought and I fought and I fought. And some of you think that that fight was just on the phone call trying to get him to put the gun down. I've been fighting for my brother for years. Shuron goes online and says he doesn't have any family, but whoa, ho, ho. If you believe that, that tells me you do not know Shuron. So all of the speculation and all of his family wasn't there for him. You did not know Shuron. Shuron had support. Shuron had love. Shuron had family. And Shuron was a rose, beautiful, handsome. I called him my Caesar. When he walked through, and Meech been feeding him well too. Last time I seen him online, I said, good night, boy, you got big. I called him my Caesar, every bit of mean, every bit of ready to go. I say, Shuron. Shuron, what are you doing? But let me tell you something. I have children, right? And one of them came to me and says, Ma, I hear them talking about him. And they say, oh, that's your uncle? Oh, nobody in his family was there for him. And I laughed. I said, baby, let me tell you something. Listen to me and listen to my words very well. I will never ask the public to change who they are. Let them be. And I'm telling you all the same thing as well. Because this ain't about Shuron, it's a mirror. So that's what you have to start doing when you see these situations. These are mirrors. People are always going to talk. People are always going to have something to say. Nobody has the full story. And the people who think they have the story are typically the ones that don't even know what's going on in the first place. So I recommend to each and every one of you that this isn't just about Shuron, because guess what? Shuron is inside of this casket. This ain't about Shuron. This is about you. For you to take a deeper look inside of your life, inside of your relationships, inside of your own lens. Shuron didn't leave us empty-handed. He left us something important. He left us a blueprint. Do you hear me? Shuron left us a blueprint. He left us a key. And his death, it's only in vain if we're going to sit around and weep and cry and stay stuck. Shuron gave us something powerful. Shuron gave us an opportunity to look at how we love and how we show up every day. And how, if we're willing to take our mask off and step into something more authentic. In the teachings of Mayat, we are taught about balance, truth, justice, the natural order of things. When systems fail and things are unbalanced, when things are ignored, something's going to crack. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what your belief is. I don't care what your spirituality is. Everything is carrying instructions. And everything is going to lead back to one thing. And that's going to be the frequency of love, which is the frequency of God. And I want you to hear this, and I want you to hear this close. There's a lot of systems that failed Shuron, okay? A lot of systems. And it's not about Shuron. So take Shuron's name out, and I want you to replace it with the loved one that you have. Because as we look at the prison systems, the mental health systems, the school systems, if we look at all of these different systems, we can look and say, oh, Shuron was failed. Shuron was failed. He was not given what he needed. A lot of people will sit and speculate, oh, Shuron, he did this because he didn't want to take accountability. They were going to lock him up. But let me tell you something. You mean to tell you a system is failing us each and every single day that we don't even look at? Because my family, we got put on blast in front of everybody. But I want to talk about your family system and my family system. Because what does the family system look like when you've got little tiny children that are moving around and they hear music by Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B? Let's talk about that system, okay? What does the system look like when we talk about how much we love our children, but we're feeding them hugs that's stuffed with grams of sugar and all of these other things that has given us diabetes and cancer and all of these different things? Let's talk about systems. Let's not talk about prison and mental health and all of these other things. Let's talk about the family system. Let's talk about how much love we're pouring into our children. How much love are you pouring into your children? Because I don't want to talk about the prison system and all these other systems if we can't get the family system right. All this blending and mixing and this blended family here and this step this and this step that. The blended families are not blending. There's no blend happening. And we got these little people that are being raised up, lost and broken and confused while mama goes to work struggling to bring money in, but nobody's at home with that child. So while your child is up there tick-tocking and twerking online, and in 10 years you're going to be like, I don't know how they got like this. Where do you think this stuff is going? Every word you speak in the home matters. Every television program that you put on in the house matters. Every single thing you do matters. Shuron is not just laying inside of his casket because he's just so bad. We like to use the word self-made, like we just made ourselves. We like to look at people and be like, look what they did, as if they just did something on their own. Take it back to the roots. Everything has a root. Follow the roots. Trace the roots. Let's take it back to the roots. You show me a child that's failing anything. Show me where they're from. Show me the system of their house. Show me the mother and the father. Show me what's on the television. Show me what they're eating. Show me what's happening here. Show it to me, because everything is math. Everything is an equation. And I ain't talking about Shuron, I'm talking about you. We sending children to school every single day, and they look like characters. YNs walking around. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Laughing and joking about these girls wanting to just put anything on. These boys got Jordans and don't even know how to spell the word Jordan. These kids are stuck on social media. The parents are stuck on social media. You want a different result? Then you got to put in different input. The blended families are not blending. And I ain't talking junk about nobody. I ain't talking about my family. I'm talking about us all. We have to do better. Nobody's doing anything intentional. No one is doing anything intentional. I get that. But what we're doing is we're passing down trauma. We're passing down pain. We're passing down a whole bunch of stuff that we've got to do a lot different. And some of you are going to go in the car with your children and put the music on and think it's nothing. But what you don't know the whole while is that child is getting filled up with every single thing you're doing. with the music, with the television programs you got on, with the social media, with the food you're feeding them. All we're doing is just filling these children up. And by the time they get about 12, 13 years old, we're trying to figure out why little John is failing all his classes. Look in the mirror. Shuron left us a blueprint. He left us a key. He left us something powerful to do something with. So wipe your tears and get up and let's take the lesson. There's a blessing inside of Shuron's death. And if we sit down and mourn and lose it, then depression takes over and it's another woe is me and let me pour one out for my homeboy. Man, I get all that. I love Shuron with my life. I ain't talking to the strangers to prove something to you. If anyone knows me, if anyone knows my family, I love that boy with my life. He had support. Shuron was not out here roaming around homeless. Shuron was not out here. But guess what? Let me tell you what. If we don't reach the children when they are young, let me tell you a little cheat code about the formula. If they get too old, the thorns are already there. So when you try to touch them, when you try to reach them, when you try to help them, you can't touch them because you're going to get poked each and every time. Shuron could not be touched. So even when we tried to love him, even when we tried to come in, the thorns, we got pushed back every single time. But bump Shuron, do you hear me? I want to take my shoes off. Shuron is inside this casket. Bump Shuron. I'm talking to you. What are you doing with your children, with your nieces, with your nephews, with your cousins? Shuron is gone. We can cry. We can. We should. But what are you doing with your children? Because this is a mirror for you. For the way you love, for the way you show up, for the way you represent yourself. And let me tell you something. Some of you think just because you're not saying certain things, frequency does not need words. I don't need to say a word. I could walk in here right now and just, how are you doing? I could say the nicest words that I want. So just because you might think because you ain't cursing your kids out, if your heart ain't there, you think your kids can't feel that. You focus on just getting money and all these things like that. Man, let me tell you what, there's nothing more powerful than love. I'm about to close. The children are paying the price. They're paying the price. They're paying the price. They're paying the price. They become adults at some point, and they're paying the price. So you can either focus on them and prioritize them and make sure that they are getting what they need, or we're going to be looking at them in adulthood saying, dang, I wonder why so-and-so did this and why so-and-so did that. And I ain't talking junk about no parents, because if we go back to the parents and look at them, they were traumatized too. You good? Look here. I know I said I'm about to close. I'm about to close, okay? To the mothers of the children that Grayson left behind, I want y'all to know that you guys are loved and you will be supported. We got your backs. We got your backs. To all the mothers in here, I want you to hear my words. You are the portal of life. All life passes through you. You are your child's first heaven. When that child rests inside your womb, from the moment conception begins, you have to begin pouring love. You have to begin healing your trauma. You are the portal of life. To my brothers, to my sister, to my mother, to Shuron's father, to his friends, to his family, extended family, thank y'all for the fight. We put a fight in. We put a fight in. And do not think for a moment that just because Shuron died that we lost that fight. We got a lot of good stuff from this. We did. And Shuron is still here with us. We just have to choose the lesson. We have to choose the lesson. My final words, I promise, is I want you to know that Shuron's life mattered, his love mattered, his children mattered. Frederick Douglass once said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." So my message to you is, build your children strong. So Shuron, I ain't talking to the casket. You ain't there. You're just a body. Shuron's with us in spirit. I silence my mind, I meditate, and I talk to Shuron regularly. I don't tell you to rest in peace. I say, Shuron, let's go. We got work to do, baby. I love you. Thank you all.
I'm not going to be long.